This is Miss Obermeyer and this is digital photography class. Today we are going to learn how to do our normal workflow, which are the steps, the editing steps we're always going to take, okay? Because we want to take a look at specific parts of our picture. So the workflow is designed to help you look at the black and white point within the picture, to adjust the midtones, possibly the contrast, and the color balance. Actually, the first thing we're going to take a look at too is whether the image needs to be cropped. So these steps are what you're always going to follow, and that way you're not randomly choosing adjustment layers. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go to Open from Computer, and I am going to borrow a picture from one of my students. This is by Isabella Sanchez, and she is in my sixth period class. She did a really interesting imaginary perspective. So this one, you can tell that she is kind of squatting down, looking up, okay, at the subject. She did it from the perspective of a ghost. I kind of like the idea that, it's she's standing on the road and nobody is noticing her, or trying to get somewhere, and the idea that there's no one there to pick her up. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is we have to crop the image. Okay, and so I am going to crop a little bit off the left side and tighten the composition up a little because there's an awful lot of empty space over there. Okay, so it's just a little bit of cropping. On this side, I think it looks fine, so I'll leave it alone on that side, and it's fine at the top too. Okay, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and crop. There we go. The next step is we're going to check the black and white point with levels. So we're going to go down to the bottom of our layers palette, go to the adjustment layers. We're looking for levels. Okay, remember in levels we get a histogram that shows us a graph of where all of the tones in the picture are. Now, if there is a gap, we're really only going to be checking and possibly adjusting the black and white point in levels. So what we want to look for is a big gap, like here, between the white slider and where the lightest tones start. There is a big gap. So that means this picture is missing all these lighter tones. Okay, so I'm going to take the white slider and bring it in towards the data. When it hits the data, it's reassigning that spot as your new white point. In this particular picture, I look at the black data does go all the way across, so I do not need to change that at all. Now, everybody's pictures are going to be a little bit different. Some may not need any adjusting here because the histogram is going to go all the way from black to white. Or you might have a gap on one side and not the other, or gaps on both sides. Okay, we're going to leave the gray slider alone and adjust that in curves. All right, so once we've set our black and white point, checked and reset if necessary, we're going to go to the curves adjustment layer. Notice that now we're adding up all of these adjustment layers, and this is how, always start with levels, and then we're going to add curves. So I'm going to look at the picture and think, well, does it need more contrast? Does it need less contrast? What tones do I want to make lighter or darker? Okay, and I think I would like to open up the shadow, the darker gray tones, which are down here in the background. So I'm going to lift that up a little bit. Okay, and then on the lighter tones, I kind of just, basically, I'm lowering the contrast just a touch. Okay, to open up the background a bit. And I can turn this off and on to show you what it does. It does open up some of these darker tones so I can see a little bit more detail. Okay, and the sheet that is the ghost has on is a little bit lighter in tone as well. Okay, so that's what I am going to do in curves, and then I'm going to go to the color balance adjustment layer. When we're in Photo P, it starts in the shadows. Okay, sometimes you think, well, it doesn't really look like I need to do anything, but I'd like you to test it out. Maybe go one way, and if you start to pick up the tone, like when I look at my neutral tones, when I look at the white here, I'm starting to pick up red, so I definitely don't want to go that far. But I do like taking a little bit more of the cyan out, so I'm going to go maybe right about there. And this one, it doesn't look like I need to. It gets too green or too magenta no matter which way I go. And in this one, maybe just, no, I think I'm going to go with nothing there. This one is pretty good. It really doesn't need a lot of adjusting. All right, in the midtones, I'm going to do the same thing. I don't need to do anything here on the red channel, and nothing here on the blue channel. Again, I'm trying to keep that white looking nice and white without a color shift. Okay, so maybe, yep, I end up back at 0. And I believe the highlights are probably going to be fine as well. But I can go both ways, and nope, I definitely don't need anything there. No, nope. Put it back to 0 and maybe warm it up just a touch. So I'm adding a little bit of yellow in there. Okay. And here's the color for before and after. It's very slight. It is a little more warmed up. Okay. The white looks a little less blue, or yeah, a little less blue, a little less cyan. Okay. So this is the normal workflow. Okay. This is all that I'm asking you to do. You're going to pick 5 pictures and do levels, curves, color balance to adjust it, and then you can save it. Please save it as both a PSD, okay, and save it as a JPEG so you can upload that JPEG to Teams. When we're going to go with 100% quality, save. Okay. And then I'm going to rename both the pictures, my name, and I'm going to call it From My Perspective FMP. Okay, edit 1. Okay, I'm going to highlight that and copy it so I can add it to the JPEG as well. Whoops, I just put it in there in my folder, which is great, but I'm going to rename it. Okay, edit, sorry, 1. Okay, now if you haven't started a From My Perspective folder within your digital photography folder, please do. And you might even start, what I did is I have an edited folder too, so I'm going to slide them into the From My Perspective edits. All right, there is one more thing you could possibly do. If you decide to make your picture black and white, you can go down to the adjustments and you can add a black and white layer. When adding the black and white color adjustment layer, here I'm turning it off and on, you can decide whether or not you like it better in color or in black and white. On each of these sliders within the black and white adjustment layer, you can slide these to change the tone of whatever color it is. So these are all the yellow tones. These are the cyan tones. Just be careful. You can make it, if you go too far, you can make it look more pixelated or more noisy. Okay? All right. And then if you like that one, you save that one instead. Okay, do this to your 5 best pictures from the project. Okay, good luck. Thanks. Bye.